The energetics that I'm speaking to here are some hidden energetics that I see a lot of women fall into. They give their power away and then they masquerade it with spirituality or being feminine. They're just masquerading their fear of speaking up, taking space, making decisions as being feminine. My truth is more important than people pleasing. My truth is more important than micromanaging everyone else's emotions. My truth is more important than avoiding conflict. My business and my life and my livelihood is more important than taking care of everyone else. Hello, my beautiful ladies, and welcome to this episode. We're going to have a good time here. I'm going to give you some tough love today, some good tough love, the kind of tough love that you're like, oh, I needed to hear that. So tune in, get cozy with me, and I'm going to share some things from my heart to yours that will help you get more confident in your business, that will help you put yourself in a position of authority, that will make you stronger as a leader. And all of these things combined will make it easier for you to run a successful business and to make more money and to take charge of your finances. So before we jump in, the energetics that I'm speaking to here are some hidden energetics that I see a lot of women fall into. They give their power away and then they masquerade it with spirituality or being feminine. So let's get some things clear here first. Being passive or agreeable or silent or just saying yes to things is not feminine. It's just people pleasing. So I see so many women confuse feminine energy with just like docile or, I'll just let the man take care of everything. And I'm just going to let the universe take care of everything for me. And I don't want to make any decisions. And basically, they're just masquerading their fear of speaking up, taking space, making decisions as being feminine. And that's a huge thing that we have to just eliminate here today, right now, because I see this so much in business. I see this so much, especially in women, where they give their power away in business and they give their power away to men. And then they go into victimhood and they go, oh, the men are so dominating and the men do this and the men do that. And yeah, perhaps in our history, we have seen that there's a lot of domination by men, but you are not going to change that by any means at all if you continue to give your power away and default to the same story. Like you're actually just feeding that narrative with the energetics that you're going into. So what I want to elicit here and bring forth in you here today is this really grounded confidence in yourself that is untouchable, unwavering, no matter what. No matter if someone's dominating, no matter if someone else doesn't show respect to you, no matter if you get a comment on social media. And I've had to coach a lot of women on this, where there's a super heightened sensitivity to other people's thoughts. And there is a hesitation to move forward because of a fear of what people might think and a whole lot of other stuff. So we are going to install today this crystal clear confidence in you and your ability to speak up, take up space, make decisions, and move forward in your business without feeling like you're being dominating, without feeling like you're being a man, without feeling like you're aggressive or mean. It's not about any of those things. You can actually just rest in your feminine energy and let that take care of you. And again, we've just got to delete and cancel any and all associations with that feminine energy. It's just agreeable and passive and just basically you're masquerading or putting the label of feminine energy onto being a people pleaser. And you just got to stop that today. That just has to go. If you are a woman and you're running a business, you just cannot label people pleasing as feminine energy and just like hide under that bracket, because you're just not going to make any progress in your business if you continue to do that. So this is what I mean. I see a lot of women being like, oh, I just want to be in my feminine energy, because actually what's actually underneath that is a fear of confrontation, fear of hurting other people's feelings. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I get that you care. I get that you care about people, and I get that you care about other people's feelings. But you're actually underneath that most of the time, when I've done a lot of subconscious reprogramming on people, the fear of hurting other people's feelings is just underneath that a fear of judgment and a fear of being rejected. Because if you hurt other people's feelings, most likely they're not going to like you, they're going to reject you, and then you're going to feel rejected at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, it always comes back to you. And this is not about becoming mean or blunt or saying harsh things to people. That's another layer of the fear, where it thinks, oh, if I start to speak my truth and I just say things bluntly and I just say things as it is or what my truth really is, then I'm going to be really mean. And where does that come from? Like, if you are a recovering people pleaser and you're a woman who tends to lean on the passive side, then you're like the last person on earth who's ever going to intentionally want to harm anyone. Like, you do not have to have that fear at all. Like, you can just say goodbye to that today. So what I like about these episodes is that I like to just talk a bit of reprogramming into you as you listen to this. So what I want to install here with you today, again, of course, everything happens with your permission, is this crystal clear confidence in yourself that your truth is your truth and you can speak your truth with safety, with a grounded energy, with feeling safe in yourself, with feeling calm and just good, just clear and fearless. And not have to worry or have anxiety about what people might think and what am I gonna say and what if I this and what if I blah 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 blah. Get rid of all of that head chatter, because what comes with that? This peaceful stillness. We can just rest in your truth. And then you can actually get in touch with your real feminine energy that has no fear of speaking. Like, I feel like the responsibility as a woman is to speak, is to voice what you feel, what you think, to express, because that's a lot of times, as we've seen through history, a woman's feeling when she's really in touch with her intuition, when she's really in touch with herself, her truth will always guide people forward in the best way. So you holding back your truth, you're doing a disservice. If you're holding back your truth and you don't want to speak up because, oh, who am I? And who am I to talk? Maybe you're in a boardroom and you're the only woman and there's a bunch of guys and they're all being like all testosterone and you're like, oh, I don't have a space here. If you're going to feed into that narrative and keep staying small, then you're just feeding into the paradigm that you're wanting to get rid of, right? So here's the paradox. A lot of times I see women being a bit like small, or they're like played down when they're around a lot of men. And maybe they're all kind of like gorilla-like and trying to like take over the conversation or the meeting or whatever. And a lot of times women will feel like, oh, well, to combat that, then I have to be more masculine, or to combat that, I need to talk louder, or to combat that, I need to put them in their place and things like that. And it's not about any of that. It's not about any of that. You don't have to worry about that. I'm going to get to what you can actually do. Plus, the good news is that we're not in the 1920s anymore, where it was socially accepted for whatever reason for guys to be dominating and just tell women to shut up and not speak up and all that crap. The age that we live in today, we're finally here. It's embarrassing for men if they talk over women. It's embarrassing for the guys if they don't let a woman talk. It's embarrassing for the guys if they're dominating and trying to be the loudest, most confident person in the room by just being loud. It's embarrassing because that's not real confidence. I got it all wrong. And it's not about putting them in their spot or verbalizing all of this to them. It's just the obvious thing now. And you don't have to say or do anything because their behavior speaks for them. So the only thing you need to do is to focus on your energy, breathing, speaking, and speaking from a place of not trying to prove yourself, not trying to gain respect from anyone, not trying to gain anything from anyone, because you already know that you have everything in you. And I know that sounds so cliche and that's so metaphysical and so, fighting my thoughts, bumper sticker. But at the end of the day, your cool, collected, calm energy speaks way louder than words. So let's say you're in a meeting and some guy's just yapping away and talking and talking and talking and talking. You trying to force yourself in there and talk louder than him, and then you just headbutting, it's not going to go anywhere. And it's just going to come across as really efforting. You're just trying really hard, and you're coming from a place of trying, and you're coming from a place of lack. If you just sit back and chill and let the dude talk his face off, eventually there will come a time where the obvious becomes obvious. Again, like I said, their behavior does it all for them. You don't have to prove to anyone anything. You don't have to put anyone in place. Once they're done, then you can speak. If they don't give you the time or the space to speak, you can say to them or to the person, hey, I know you're really excited about this, and I would love to hear more of your thoughts, but I just gave you a lot of attention, and I just gave you a lot of space to finish your thoughts. I would really appreciate it if you could do the same for me. Let that land. Then the obviousness of the time that you gave them will click in their brain and they realize that's not an unreasonable ask. Yeah. Oops. Sometimes people just need a little bit of wake up call if they've been rambling, and you're not making them bad. You're just saying, hey, what I gave to you, I would really love to receive back. And it activates the law of reciprocity. And if they say this, it would just be weird. What are they going to say? No. So take up space. Another thing that I see women do is there's a heightened sensitivity to criticism and feedback because of a need to be perfect all the time. And this is something that you really just have to let go of right now, because when you rise up in your business, when you rise up as a woman, there's people who are going to make weird comments. There's people who are going to say stuff. And at the end of the day, you have to decide on your inner circle. I've mentioned this in another episode. The only people who get to have any influence over you and your state is your inner circle. And the only people who get to be in your inner circle are really, really important and meaningful to you. And they better be some high caliber people. So other than that, and that's just a handful full of people, no one else's thoughts matter unless it's constructive feedback. But if it's some idiot on the internet that's saying a dumb comment on your Facebook feed or your Instagram, why would you spend 2 seconds of your precious energy being offended or being hurt by that? And yes, of course, sometimes a comment can sting, but there's no reason to feed your energy into that. So the thing that I see with a lot of women in business is they need to get crystal clear on their vision and their mission and have that as their goalpost, not I need to get everyone's respect. Because then your aim is off. Because if you're just focusing on I need to get everyone to respect me, I need to get everyone to listen to me, I need to get everyone to validate me, then you're wasting your energy, because that's not your responsibility. Not your responsibility to micromanage everyone else's thoughts and all of their attitudes and all that kind of stuff. You are going to get exhausted. Your priority is your goals. Where do you want to go? What is the life that you want to create for yourself? And what do you got to do to get that going? And most likely, if you're already in business and you're running a successful business and you're just taking it to the next level, things are already pretty good. It's just about keeping on upgrading. So you just gotta let go of caring so much about how people are thinking and what they're saying and what they might think if you do this and what they might think if you do that. Let's get your collie tongue out a little bit sometimes here. Practice that. Saying things as they are, speaking your truth, not sugarcoating it at all. And again, what is the fear that comes up? And I see this so much with women. Oh, I'm gonna sound mean. Oh, no. No, not necessarily. What if your truth is just a simple no thank you? What's offensive about that? And the thing is, when you speak your truth with clarity, you're going to be understood. Not that that's what you're going for, but we live in a paradoxical universe here. It's going to be easier for people to understand you. And ironically, it's going to be easier for you to gain respect. And again, what I'm saying is that's not your goal, but what I mean with we live in a paradoxical universe is that when we chase happiness, you're never going to get happy because you're chasing something that's seemingly outside of yourself. Once you let go of the chase, ooh, there it comes. If you cling on to this manifestation goal that you have and you're just trying really hard but trying to manifest this thing that you don't have, and you're trying, and then when you get exhausted and you give up, oh, there suddenly it came. And if you're trying really hard to get people to respect you and like you and give you lots of compliments, then no one's going to like you or respect you or give you any compliments. And once you let go of that, wow, so many people respect you and like you and give you compliments. That's what I mean with the paradoxical universe. But you have to let go of that being your goal. You have to get in touch with your real goals. Like, what is it that your soul wanted you to do in this lifetime on this earth? And most likely, your soul is not going to be like, oh, I really need to get 3,000 likes on this post. I really need to get every single person who's coming in on my Facebook feeds to just give me lots of compliments. Like, your soul is just like, I don't care about that. I really don't care. Like, your soul has a bigger, view of life. So learn to zoom out when you're caring too much about the little things. So let's talk a little bit more about getting yourself into a position of authority. So I've already alerted to this by just speaking clearly, speaking your truth, not being afraid of what people might think, not confusing feminine energy with passiveness, not confusing being in charge as, oh, I'm just being a dominating man anymore. you are just resting in your truth. Like at the end of the day, it's just about resting in your truth. And I know that sounds vague, but if you practice that, like if I just rested in my truth right now, what would it be? If I could just speak my truth clearly right now, what would it be? No filter. Like give that a go. The other thing that I want you to practice is stop over explaining. So women can do this a lot where it's like, oh, but I feel like this and what I would really like and this really hurt my feelings and then I was upset and then I thought that this was going to happen and then I was worried about this and blah, 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 blah. Sometimes a simple no or a simple yes or a simple I want this or I want that or here's what's going to happen next is way better than going into a complete brain ramble. So sentences that begin with here's what's going to happen next. The next steps are what will move us forward is. So I want you to practice consolidating your communication, not to speak less, but to speak more efficiently. Not to speak less, but to speak more efficiently. And that's a really good way to put you in a position of leadership because if you're confusing people with rambling, then they're not going to follow you. If you're confusing people with over explaining yourself, they're going to get tired. They're going to get tired of listening to you. And it's not because they don't want to hear what you have to say. Most people actually want to hear what you got to say. Believe it or not. Like most people actually want to hear what you got to say. But if you're taking too long to explain a very simple concept, people get tired and they tune out. So learn to consolidate your message. So it's clear, not complicated, fewer words, bigger message. And it's quite interesting. They've done studies on this. And they've shown that when people use fewer words and simpler words, they're actually perceived as smarter, ironically. And when people try to come across as smart by using big words, people rate them as less smart. So doesn't that just make it easy? Use less words, make it simple for people. So I'm going to give you some more examples of what playing small looks like in business. It looks like underpricing, over-delivering, tolerating disrespect, avoiding confrontation, and letting clients, teams, and partners cross lines. So if you're a martyr, then you might be on a call with someone, or maybe someone wants to do a business deal with you, and they're like, yeah, they need to go a little bit of a negotiation with you about pricing. If you are a recovering people pleaser or you're a martyr, and you just think, oh, I just got to please them and please their feelings. And instead of actually going into a process of negotiation to find a fair deal, you would just immediately be like, oh, well, I can just give you 50% off. That's not going to put you in a position of authority. That's not going to make you gain trust from them because if you can't negotiate, if you can't find a fair deal, then how are they going to trust you as a leader or something to lead the company? So here are some things that you have to come to terms with if you really want to be in a position of authority and you want to be a leader in your business. There's some things that you're just going to have to accept. You're going to have to accept being misunderstood. You're going to have to accept being disliked by some people, obviously not the ones that matter. You're going to have to accept polarization, different opinions at the table, and you're going to have to accept temporary discomfort. And I see most women, so many women, are not willing to move through these energetics and come to a state of acceptance. And instead, they will people please, they will say yes, they will agree just to avoid any kind of emotional discomfort in other people. So you're just gonna have to choose, hey, my truth is more important than people pleasing. My truth is more important than micromanaging everyone else's emotions. My truth is more important than avoiding conflict. My business and my life and my livelihood is more important than taking care of everyone else. Because at the end of the day, that's not going to serve anyone if you're burnt out and tired and miserable. So you're going to have to be okay with being judged now and again. You're going to have to be okay with being labeled as too much. You're going to have to be okay with being called intimidating. You're going to have to be okay being projected onto, because at the end of the day, when people are complaining, when people are making some stupid, silly comment on your feed, it's just a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of you. So I want to talk about trolls just for a second because I actually find it hilarious. I don't get too many weird comments online, but the once in a while when I get it, I just find it amusing. And when I see on other people's feed the crazy stuff that people will say, I just find it hilarious. Why do I find it hilarious? Because Sometimes people with even very polished profiles, they will say the most retarded things on other people's pages. And if they said their comment out loud to the person face to face, they would make an absolute fool out of themselves. It's like all social etiquette just goes out of the window online. And people just think that they can say whatever, like in their little comfort zone of their own home, and make some sort of gnarly comment. And they would make a total fool out of themselves if they actually verbalize that to someone in public. He would just be like, "Did you just say that?" But as long as it's in the comment section of someone's page, then suddenly it's like, okay, but it's not. So the reason it makes me laugh is because it just seems like the people who make the most gnarliest comments, they don't that you. It's like, I'm gonna say, it's the saying, "Forgive them for they know not better." They just don't know any better. They don't know that they are actually embarrassing themselves. So at the end of the day, there's nothing that you have to do about people who are projecting comments onto you. You don't have to correct it and rectify it and justify it and explain yourself and try to change their perception. You don't have to do anything. Their comments are taking care of themselves. Obviously, I would recommend to delete and clean up and block and all that, because no one can just like come in and take a poop in your garden. It's your social feed and your social media, and all of your content and stuff is yours. So keep that clean, but you don't have to engage with it at all, because usually the more you engage with trolls and people who are just like spitting their dirty consciousness onto you, the more you feed into it. So starve it. Just starve it for attention. So here are some final things that I want to install in you today. It's a bold energy of feeling good, so good in speaking your truth that the goodness of that feeling will override any discomfort that comes from any comments or thoughts that people might have. And I want you to decide quickly. I want you to trust yourself, and I want you to speak cleanly and move. Be decisive. Move. Take action. And it's not about moving and taking action to exhaust yourself. You're moving and taking action anyways. If you're deciding to be still, that's still a decision. So you might as well choose what's best for you anyways. And I want to remind you that confidence, again, it's not about being the loudest person in the room, because energy speaks louder. It's not about competing with other people. It's not about shrinking. It's not about overly expanding yourself either. It's about having a regulated nervous system. This is why I have so many episodes on regulating your nervous system. It's about resting in your truth, like I've mentioned here several times. And I'm going to say it again, because if you program yourself to rest in your truth, when you say to yourself, "I'm going to rest in my truth," what does that feel like? I'm just going to rest in my truth. It feels safe. And your truth will just take care of life for you. And it's about a vision that you're loyal to, that's so strong that any thoughts, any comments will just roll off of you like you're a Teflon plate, you know? So feminine authority, it doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait to be invited. It doesn't wait until someone else says that they can speak. It decides. And you're not being masculine if you speak up. You're not being masculine if you make decisions. You're not being masculine if you are bold. These are all illusions and conditionings that so many women have gone through just to stay small, basically. And what's so nice about this era that we're going through now is that it's much easier. It's much easier these days for women. We're not fully there. Still got a little bit of way to go. And we're not going to get there by competing with men. We're not going to get there by, doing an eye for an eye and silencing men, or silencing people who disrespect you. We're not going to get there by, pushing other people down. It's just about removing the limitations that you put onto yourself, and stop being so small. Stop being so small. Stop shrinking yourself. And by you speaking up, by you taking up space, that doesn't dim anyone else. It doesn't take up more of someone else's space. So go out, be bold, and I'm going to encourage you today to make a decision to say one thing very clearly and concise, even if it scares you a little bit. Just do it. Just speak your truth. And even if it might make you feel a little shaky, even if it might make you feel a little like, that's because you're going through a transition phase where it might feel unusual to you to speak clearly, to speak your truth. But if you do it more and more and more and more and more, you'll get used to it, and will feel like second nature. So go practice today. Be bold, speak, take up space, and let the rest take care of itself. So thank you for tuning into this episode. Share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Speak your truth. Be loud. Take up space. Go for it. Practice saying one thing with certainty today. And I will see you in the next episode.